basketball movie, Steven Soderberg, Netflix, you got me. So High Flying Bird is directed by Steven Soderberg and stars Andre Holland as a sports agent who pitches a rookie basketball client on an intriguing and controversial business opportunity during a lockout. So I would just like to address something up front before we properly dive into this review, and that is regarding Netflix movies. This is a Netflix movie, and I want to really put more of a focus on Netflix movies going forward this year on the channel. Every Friday, Netflix usually releases one new movie from their own studio, and it's been quite a big thing as of late, especially among us sort of smaller movie review channels, to review those films and give those films attention, and I've wanted to get into that myself. So this is my first sort of big one, and I'm going to be doing every single Netflix movie, or at least I'm going to try to, pretty much, every single Friday release. So you can expect a video like this every single Friday, or, Saturday usually, maybe we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But, for the new Netflix movies, I just wanted to address that, because I missed out on reviewing some really cool movies last year. Like, I didn't get around to, reviewing movies like Roma and A Bird Box and things like that. So I want to focus more on Netflix movies going forward in 2019. Now, when I saw this movie was coming out today, I was really excited about it because I actually saw the cast, the director, some facts about the movie, and also it's a basketball movie. I am a basketball player myself, not so much these days as I used to be, but I do have a lot of experience in basketball. I used to play it a lot when I was younger, and I'm a big fan of the sport. So with that being said, I was excited about a basketball movie. I thought this was going to be really cool, and it's a very untraditional basketball movie and a very untraditional sports movie in that sense. Also, the cast was great. Obviously, Steven Soderberg is the director, and also a fact that I learned just before watching this movie, which is that this is completely filmed on an iPhone. So yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. This movie is completely shot on an iPhone, and I think Steven Soderberg did a wonderful job, with a pretty limited camera making this work, because you can definitely tell the difference. Like, you can definitely tell that this was filmed on an incredibly small camera in comparison to the typical, movie cameras like the RD Alexa or, anything like that that big movie studios are using these days. You can tell that the difference here is just something very, very different. The shots are very weirdly kind of framed, and it's a difficult thing to explain if you haven't seen it. It's very weird, because Steven Soderbergh has actually directed a film on an iPhone before. His previous film, Unsane, which came out last year starring Claire Foy, was also filmed on an iPhone. I never actually saw that movie, but seeing this movie, it takes a little while to get used to, I'm not going to lie. It took me about 10-15 minutes to fully adjust to the shots in this film, because there are a few weird ones where the depth perception isn't quite the same as it would be on a normal camera that they would film with, and it just seems like, everything's a little bit flatter than it normally is. Not colour necessarily, but just in terms of, like I say, depth, it seems very flat, which is a very interesting choice, and it's something that, you have to get used to. But once you do, I think you'll really appreciate what this camera choice is able to do. And what I particularly like about it as well is that this is going to be an incredibly inspirational film to many young filmmakers out there, because this is what Steven Soderbergh is doing here, and what he's saying is, you can do this. Like, you can make this movie even if all you have is an iPhone. Like, you don't need a big expensive camera to make these movies. You can make them purely on the device you have, and I think that's really cool and really inspirational. Like, I film these videos on an iPad, so I think it's really cool that, as a budding filmmaker as well myself, to actually see that and use this as inspiration to say, yes, this is possible, we can do this, is a really nice message to send out. And like I say, I think this movie comes out so well for it. From a filmmaking standpoint, from a technical standpoint, this is a really good looking movie. Like, I saw this movie in 4K as well, and it's really nice in 4K. The color correction in this movie is beautiful. Like, it's a really nice looking film. And again, when you consider that this was shot on an iPhone, you really are blown away by, especially the colors. Like I said, the colors in this movie really pop, and it's really nice, especially on 4K. So like I say, just for inspiration and just, for doing this completely on an iPhone, it's a really nice touch for the movie. Like I say, it might take you a little while to get used to it, but once you do, you'll really appreciate what Soderbergh did here. Now, like I mentioned, this is a basketball movie, but unlike a lot of basketball movies we've seen in the past, this movie isn't directly about the sport in and of itself. You don't actually get a lot of scenes in this movie that are actually on the court with actual, basketball matches going on. Instead, what you have going on is a lot more of the behind the scenes stuff. Like I say, the main character in this movie is an agent, and he's talking with his clients, and it's a very dialogue heavy movie. It deals a lot with the behind the scenes stuff, but again, as a fan of basketball, I actually really appreciated that. I thought this was a really nice angle to attack from, because Netflix, typically what I would expect from them is not to do something like this, like very dialogue driven and very, going behind the scenes on something. So to see them actually take that route, I thought was really ambitious, and I think it worked really well for them. Yes, this movie is very dialogue heavy, but I don't think that's a bad thing whatsoever. In fact, I think this is the best part about the movie. The dialogue is very good in this movie. It's very well written, it's very well performed, and it just comes across very well. It comes across very real as well, and I really enjoy just all the different interactions because this movie has like a very limited cast. There's a very small cast. I'd be interested to know what the budget is of this movie because it must be very small because the cast is very limited. But with that, you get some really awesome moments, and again, it's just really intriguing and it's really interesting, and it kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat really as to where all of these turns are going to go, where all these deals are going to go. It's really interesting in that sense to watch this movie unfold because there are quite a few turns the movie takes that I wasn't necessarily expecting, and I thought that was really good. And again, that comes down to how well written the movie is. And like I said, this movie felt really real, and at points I almost felt like I was watching a documentary at times. There were a couple of moments in this movie where famous clips and interviews from famous basketballers are actually edited into the movie to kind of help progress the story along, and I thought it was actually really well handled and really well done, really well executed. And again, it made me feel like I was actually watching a little bit more of a documentary than necessarily a movie, and that was a really nice kind of change of pace every time one of these little scenes would come up. And the performances in this movie really help emphasize the dialogue. And like I say, I think all the performances were great in this movie. Particular standouts, Andre Holland as the main character, as our lead, I think is very likable. He's very good in this movie. And again, you find out a lot about his character in this movie as it goes on, and you get to see a lot more of him. You get to see more behind the surface of him as the movie goes on, and I think that Andre Holland did a fantastic job with this. I really enjoyed his performance. I just think he was really able to pull through a really nice, nuanced performance for this film. And also Zazie Beets is in this movie as well, which is a really nice addition. I didn't expect to see her in here, but she has a pretty big role in the movie too, and she is really great in this movie, as she is in everything. I'm a big fan of Zazie Beets at this point. I'm really excited for anything she does. Can't wait to see her in Joker later on this year, but she is really good in this movie also, as you would expect her to be. I really like her performance, her role in the movie, what she was able to do, her character. Very unique, but also very Zazie Beets at the same time, which is always nice to see. Overall, I really enjoyed High Flying Bird. Like I say, for my first kind of proper Netflix review, I thought this was a great first choice. Like, this was a really awesome film. And again, I kind of went into it, you know, expecting it to be good, but I didn't expect it to be great. I thought this movie was going to be fine, you know, pretty entertaining, but for the most part, I actually think this movie is really good. I think that, you know, just taking the dialogue-heavy route of delving behind the scenes of the NBA and also behind the basketball scene was really nice. The performances really emphasized those scenes, and like I say, completely filmed on an iPhone. So impressive and really well done by Steven Soderberg. I really like Soderberg at this point, you know, doing the Ocean's trilogy. Then he did Logan Lucky, which I loved, and now with this movie, like I said, I didn't actually end up seeing Unsane, but then going from Logan Lucky to this movie, I just think he's just a really awesome filmmaker. So seeing all of these things, all these elements coming together, make this a really good film. So if you have Netflix, this is available now, so make sure you go check it out as soon as you can. So have you guys seen High Flying Bird? If you have, make sure you let me know all your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let's have a conversation about this movie in the comment section down below. And as always guys, if you want to see more movie reviews from me, be sure to subscribe, and I hope to see you guys again in my next video.